Imagine a moment in time when the fundamental mechanics of our world just stopped working. We're talking about the year 536 of the Common Era. A terrifying, literal veil fell over the planet, plunging the entire Northern Hemisphere into a state of perpetual twilight. You know that daily rhythm of sunrise and sunset, the absolute foundation of human agriculture and, honestly, our sanity? It just vanished. 18 months. For a year and a half, ordinary families lived in this relentless, freezing, dim twilight. Historical chronicles describe an eerie, totally unprecedented phenomenon where the sun completely lost its brilliant luster. Instead, it radiated this pale, sickly bluish light. It was so incredibly weak that it didn't even cast a shadow at high noon. People literally watched the moon lose its glow and wondered, is this it? Are we witnessing the actual end of days? Now, for centuries, modern historians completely dismissed these accounts. They just brushed them off as dramatic, superstitious exaggerations. But science has recently confirmed that 536 AD was, without a shadow of a doubt, the absolute worst year to be alive in human history. Yet, as we're about to see this strange pale color of the sky, it was really just a beautiful mask hiding a monstrous trap that was already snapping shut on global civilization. Part 1. The volcanic smoking gun. So how do we actually know this happened? Well, the physical evidence of this global catastrophe was hidden for nearly a millennium and a half, buried deep inside the Earth's natural archives. I want you to picture a farmer in August. He's waiting for the familiar, life-giving sound of a normal summer harvest rain. But instead, he reaches out, touches a frozen, brittle tree trunk, as the strange, suffocating gray dust just starts falling from the sky. Scientists actually traced that farmer's nightmare by drilling way down into the deep ice sheets of Greenland and Antarctica. Ancient ice core samples pulled from those frozen depths revealed a massive, sudden spike in sulfate deposits dating to this exact period. That chemical signature confirmed a terrifying timeline. Basically, a cataclysmic volcanic eruption had blasted millions of tons of ash directly into the stratosphere. This triggered what we now call the Late Antique Little Ice Age. That immense ash cloud literally choked off the sun's warmth. The temperature drop was so brutal and so fast that all across the globe, oak trees choked to death. You can see their rings narrowing tightly under the frost. And while nature was dying right out in the open, this creeping, relentless frost was quietly preparing to take down the fiercest, most resilient warriors of the northern wild. Part 2. Fimbulwinter and Migration. The endless winter preceding Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods. You see, the sheer trauma of this atmospheric nightmare etched itself so deeply into the human soul that it manifested as terrifying cultural myths. Imagine a young Norse mother, right? She's shielding her kids inside a timber longhouse while an unnatural blizzard howls outside for the second straight summer. The crops are dead, the livestock are freezing in their pens, and the village elders are whispering that the gods have completely abandoned them. This real-world catastrophe literally birthed the dark myth of Fimbulwinter. And look, when your entire homeland turns to ice, you move. Archaeological evidence shows us that during this exact time, countless Scandinavian clans just abandoned their ancestral homes in a massive, chaotic migration southward. But here's the catch. As these desperate northern refugees fled the frozen wilderness, they were marching straight toward a highly sophisticated empire. An empire that totally believed its immense wealth and towering stone walls could protect it from the dark. Part 3. Justinian's Frozen Empire. Let's pivot geographically for a second over to the crown jewel of the ancient world, Constantinople. This was the beating heart of Justinian's empire, and it was about to face an unthinkable freeze. Before the eruption, Emperor Justinian was riding high on this incredible golden age of imperial rebirth. His brilliant generals had literally just reclaimed the historic heart of Italy and North Africa. He'd centralized the Catholic Church under his absolute authority. Protected by unimaginable wealth and huge stone walls, they seemed practically invincible. But man, that illusion of invincibility shattered overnight. The sun-drenched capital of Constantinople was suddenly swallowed by a suffocating black fog rolling right across the Mediterranean. Soldiers marching through France watched in sheer disbelief as vital supply ports froze completely solid. Wine literally turned to blocks of ice inside the barrels. The majestic dream of a resurrected Roman Empire was stopped dead, completely frozen in its tracks. Part 4. The bubonic nightmare. Now, an empire can eventually bounce back from a ruined harvest. But that was nothing compared to the horrifying biological threat preparing to awaken in the dark. Across the civilized world, the simple act of eating became a distant memory. Over in the courts of China, an imperial scribe gripped a brush with numb, trembling fingers to record unprecedented summer frosts and black skies that utterly wiped out the nation's food supply. Families across Asia and the Middle East were forced to make absolutely unthinkable choices just to survive another day in that bleak twilight. Society was starving, weak, hollowed out. And as millions of desperate people huddled together in the dim cold, an invisible, microscopic killer was quietly disembarking. Then came the year that changed everything. 541. Just a few short years into this devastating climate chaos, a terrifying sickness broke out in the port cities of Egypt and rapidly raced toward Constantinople. The plague had officially arrived. And this wasn't just some stroke of bad luck. It was a deadly biological chain reaction. First, severe climate chaos struck Central Asia. This massive environmental shock forced infected wild rodents out of their natural habitats, pushing them directly into the global trade routes. Ultimately, the resulting plague slammed right into a population that had already been totally decimated by 5 years of starvation. The sheer scale of the loss is hard to even wrap your head around. It was apocalyptic. Nearly half the population of the Mediterranean was wiped out. The Plague of Justinian was this lethal wave of bubonic terror that found an exceptionally easy target in a starving world. It left entire fields untended and great bustling ancient cities literally smelling of death. Part 5. A Fractured World. This catastrophic loss of life shattered the physical spine of the Roman world. The psychological trauma ran so incredibly deep that it permanently broke the spiritual unity of the empire too. With the central authority of Constantinople crippled, deep cultural and political fault lines within the Christian world widened into an unbridgeable chasm, forever severing the historical bonds between the Catholic and Orthodox faiths. Human society underwent this massive, desperate retreat from urban living. Those bustling ancient cities? Abandoned. Terrified survivors fled into small, isolated villages and heavily fortified hilltop towns just to protect whatever food scraps they had left. The cosmopolitan ancient world died right there, and the fragmented medieval landscape was born. Part 6. A Fragile Modern World. You see, this brutal planetary reset actually forged the very nations and borders we map today, but it also holds a pretty severe warning for us. Today, our hyper-connected global networks rely on a highly fragile illusion of climate stability. If a similar atmospheric veil were to choke our skies tomorrow, our automated food grids would collapse within weeks. These great metropolises we live in, which are deeply dependent on global trade, just like Justinian's empire was, would turn into silent, frozen monuments. The forgotten nightmare of 536 stands as a chilling testament to our true place on this planet, leaving us dangerously blind to just how quickly the dark can return. So, as we look back at the absolute most devastating year in human history, it leaves us with one unavoidable question. Do we actually possess the resilience to survive a blue sun? Or would our grand modern civilization simply fade into the next great unsolved enigma of a frozen Earth?